In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to design your website. We're going to talk about what colors you should use as well, as that's a pretty important element. As you know, on my site, I use a lot of pink, and you'll understand why in just a second why that is. But in this lesson, we're really going to talk about how to design your website, because that's something a lot of people get hung up on. So some of the things we're going to talk about within this lesson are what colors to use, how to leverage your competitors' sites' data. And this is a real key thing. I talked about it already in the intro, but this is really key. We're also going to talk how to leverage similar sites' data. So maybe your customers also shop at Macy's.com or other similar sites. Maybe it's BestBuy.com. And I'm going to show you how you can actually research what they're doing and use that to your advantage. And last, we're going to talk about designing your site to convert. I've talked about this 100 times. I mean, the only purpose of your e-commerce site is to make people into buyers, make them into customers. So we'll talk about that more later. So first up, what colors to use. So here's a chart of a bunch of different colors, the main primary colors, and what their meaning is. So depending on what kind of thing you're selling or what kind of message you're trying to get across, you might want to use different colors. So I ended up using pink, which, as you can see, represents tenderness, sensitive, emotional, sympathetic, love. Those are the big things that I was trying to convey with my website. I was trying to target moms who are buying a product for their daughter. So pink was a great choice. Now look at effective e-commerce. Well, what does blue represent? It represents trust, smart, calm, natural, stable, power. All things that I want to convey, especially the trust and the smart. With effective e-commerce, I want to convey to you guys that, like, you can trust me. You know, I'm a smart guy. I know what I'm talking about, and ultimately that you're going to gain some power through your own e-commerce business. So try to figure out what you're selling and what color should go with it, because that's going to be a core component of your website, of everything you do, your marketing, things like that. So you can find a ton of this kind of data online. Do your own research, see what colors represent your website, your company, all that. The next thing I want to talk about is leveraging your competitors' sites' data. And I'll give an example, but first let me explain what this is. So basically, you're going to borrow all the design elements from your competitors. Borrow in quotes. And what I mean by this is they've already done all the legwork for you. They've done the research. They've done the data collecting and trying to figure out what the best website is for your niche. So the first step is what I ended up doing, to be quite honest, and this is my story, is I basically went to one of my competitors' website, one of the lesser known ones, and more or less copied their site. And then I kind of changed up the things that I thought they were doing wrong. So they've spent, once again, millions of dollars on designing their site and researching it, making sure it works within your niche, because you guys, obviously, if you're competitors, you share a niche. So why not see what you can take from there? Now, everything might not be perfect. There might be problems with it. I will say, when I first designed my store, I thought I was incorporating elements of my competitor sites. And then when I finally was finished, it was a very sleek looking site. It looked nice. I showed it to my roommate at the time, who was a girl, and she looked at it and said, yeah, that's great, but it doesn't say buy me. And the reason was it was dark and sleek. It almost looked like a Mercedes-Benz website, something that'd be advertising a product, not something where you could actually buy it. So keep in mind, like, your competitors have already done all this research. See what you can learn from it. Copy, you can copy their colors. You can copy things like that. I mean, don't copy it exactly, but use it as a starting point. And you want to take that and then iterate until it's your own, until it's perfect for your niche. Another thing you can do is look at similar sites data. So Macy's and Victoria's Secret are both similar sites to mine. They're not a competitor of mine. Someone that's buying something from Victoria's Secret isn't a competitor. They're not wondering, should I buy it from BeDance or should I buy it from Victoria's Secret? No, but people that shop at Victoria's Secret also might want to shop at BeDancewear. So what I did is I went and saw what elements do I like on their website. Once again, this is a huge, huge company. They got a lot of money to spend. So you can borrow some of the design elements and then once again iterate upon them to make it your own. So with my story, I used a lot of Victoria's Secret, as you can imagine, with the pink. I may or may not have, I don't know if this is against the rules, copied straight up some of their design elements, because I thought, I really like the way that their top bar interacts within my own site. So I basically went into the HTML And this is really easy to do. Within Chrome, you can right click and you can go down to view element, or right click and I believe it's view page source, and you can see straight up the HTML. You can just copy and paste that into your own website. So that's what I ended up doing. Use your own judgment, use your own, depending on what your niche is, use your own other similar websites. But the next thing I want to talk about is designing your website to convert. The point of an e-commerce site is sales. It's not to be beautiful. A lot of people, especially I notice a lot of people want to design with Squarespace. And Squarespace is, it's all right. But it's more on the pretty side, less on the conversion side. Shopify is good because it's really about the conversions. So that's one of the things I see a lot of people making a mistake. Another thing that I want to add is don't make me think, meaning when I come to your site, I shouldn't have to think. I should be able to easily find everything. I should easily be able to check out. So when you're designing your website, make sure it makes sense. It's very intuitive. People can find your products. You're going to hear me harp on and on about this, so I'm not going to dive too deep into this right now, but make it easy for people to check out from your website. The funny thing about my website is a lot of people look at it and they say, well, it's not that good looking. Maybe you should hire a website designer, or maybe you should hire a graphic designer, blah, blah, blah. And then I end up showing them my analytics data. I show them that I get a 5% conversion rate. It ranges. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's a little bit lower, but it's usually at least 5%. And their minds are blown, and they look at me and they say, I tell them like, hey, I'm trying to make money. I'm not trying to have a pretty site. So keep that in mind. Your goal is to make money, not have a pretty site. It's the way that I use to shut up a lot of people is when they're making fun of my site, I'm like, yeah, but it converts. I recently had someone tell me, you need to switch over, you need to hire some kind of designer, spend a few $1,000s, whatever it is. And I told them, well, what's your conversion percentage? And they said 3%, which is pretty good. And they're pretty proud about it. I'm like, well, mine's 5%. So maybe it's not just about how good it looks. So keep that in mind when you're designing your site. So there's some more design tips that I have. I've made many videos about this, but probably my favorite video, I have a link to it below on this page. So you can click on that, you can get some more design tips, make it a little bit easier for you to design your e-commerce business. If you like this video, then you're gonna love my new e-commerce course, the 25K e-commerce profit plan. In it, I teach you the strategies and techniques that I actually use to build my own successful e-commerce business. We talk about how to set up a website, an e-commerce site that actually makes sales. Then we talk about how to get traffic to that site. And ultimately, I give you the tips and techniques on how to make it be as profitable as possible. We talk about things such as SEO, Google Analytics, everything you've heard about, AdWords. It's all in there. This is really pretty much everything I know about e-commerce. I put in this one course. I was tired of people asking me, how do I get traffic to my website, or how do I build an e-commerce site? And I wanted to just bundle it all up in one course. When you buy the course, you'll get free lifetime access to my private Facebook group. And on top of that, for the first 100 people that buy the course, I'll give you a free one-on-one 30-minute consultation. You can go to effectiveecommerce.com or click up here now to buy the course and make sure that you get one of the free 30-minute one-on-one consultation sessions.